It's the day nobody thought would come. The air in that Las Vegas courtroom feels like a pressure cooker. The judge looks Patrick straight in the eye and declares him sole legal and physical guardian of little Aleesi. Thais doesn't flinch at first, but there's a tremor in her hands, and when the sentence lands, 3 months jail, $3,000 fine, her face crumples in a way you can't unsee. Patrick's jaw tightens. It's not the victory anyone dreamed about, not after years of Instagram-perfect moments and Brazilian sunsets. How did a story that started with flirty emojis and fairy tale proposals hit the skids this fast? Did anyone guess this couple would end up enemies, fighting for their child in front of total strangers? Last week, it felt like a different show. Viewers saw family game nights, birthday cakes, and a few awkward dinners with John dropping hard seltzers into every conversation, but nothing screamed total collapse. Patrick and Thais still shared air kisses, posted those cryptic quotes about love fixing all wounds. The baby was always front and center, her little face beaming under those ring lights that never seemed to switch off. Audiences joked about Patrick being too obsessed with protein powder or Thais refusing to let anyone babysit, but under it all, the couple played nice for the cameras. Isn't that always the way on reality TV? Everything looks fine until it isn't. Every fan thinks they saw signs before this, but the receipts in court hit different. Texts about missed bills, heated FaceTime fights, reports of late-night arguments behind closed doors. What looked like glam was always glued together by duct tape and denial. And then the rumors spun wild. Did Patrick's brother John stir up chaos just to score screen time, or was Thais always 1 foot out the door? Nobody knows for sure, and that's what makes this mess stick in your brain long after the credits roll. Just when you think things couldn't possibly get messy, the whispers come flooding back. What about that wild trip to Brazil, when Thais left her phone locked for hours at a time? Who covered up Patrick's business problems when the money started drying up? There were always cracks, but now everyone's stuck facing the sharp edges, wondering if this explosion was brewing all along or if it could have been stopped by one honest conversation. What the cameras blurred, the court just exposed for everyone. One marriage on the rocks, one mother facing a lonely summer behind bars, and a dad walking out holding their daughter's hand like a shield. This is the moment everything changed, and nobody's walking away clean from it. Not long ago, this was the couple everyone called goals. Scroll back to those old clips and you see a love story already staged for the real. Patrick landing in Brazil, grinning, ready to charm Thais's entire family, and Thais, overflowing with excitement, chasing a new life in America, convinced she had landed the real thing. It looks easy at first, all sparkle and ocean views and expensive dinners, the kind of whirlwind romance producers love. The proposal goes viral, the comments go wild, and even the toughest in-laws seem to thaw for a minute. But nearly every fairy tale on this show eventually shows its cracks, and for Patrick and Thais, those cracks were there from the second she walked off that plane. The first jolt came before the wedding planner even locked the booking. Thais lands in Texas ready for her happily ever after, only to find out she's not moving in with her fiancé, she's moving in with her fiancé and his brother. Cue the never-ending reality of shared bathrooms, clashing routines, and late-night bro talk in the kitchen. John is not shy, not subtle, and absolutely not the kind of roommate Thais wanted. Imagine moving halfway across the world, leaving everything you know, and being thrown into this instant family sitcom. Seriously, what would you do if your new husband made you share space with his wild brother, who thinks volume control is a suggestion and privacy is for chumps? It's more than a minor irritation. For Thais, it gnawed at her every day. The cameras catch her forced smiles and muttered complaints. She wants her own home. She wants boundaries. She definitely wants John to mind his own business. But Patrick, always quick to avoid confrontation, plays peacemaker and kicks tough conversations down the road. He tries to juggle both, keeping his brother close and his wife unbothered. It never works, of course. Every time Thais tells Patrick she's had enough, he tries to soothe her with promises. "We'll be out soon," he says. "Just be patient." But seasons pass, John is still there, and patience wears out like cheap mascara. That's where Patrick's people-pleasing goes from sweet to suffocating. He doesn't want to pick sides, tries to make everyone okay, and winds up making nobody happy. Instead of backing Thais and putting up real boundaries, he waffles, worries about hurting feelings, and gets lost in trying to keep up his good guy act. He says yes to John because that's what he's always done, but then scrambles to assure Thais she matters most. Of course, she sees through it. Who wouldn't? If your husband can't say no to his own brother for you, how safe are you going to feel in this marriage? But the tension isn't confined to the house. Cut to the infamous Brazil trip. Thais's dad still doesn't know about the engagement. She hides the wedding plans over the phone, worries about her father's reaction, and tries to coast along on half-truths and giggled distractions. By the time the secret spills, it's a mess. Dad is furious, calls Patrick out, and Thais is forced to choose sides. The whole thing sets the stage for years of resentment, unspoken blame, and family wounds that never get stitched up. The audience back home asks, why didn't anyone listen to those early warning signs? That simmering tension between Thais and her own dad finds an echo in her new home. Patrick always wants to be the hero, the provider, the caretaker, the one who keeps everyone afloat. But when money starts to get tight, he doesn't talk about it. The bills pile up, business plans flop, but the Instagram feed never misses a beat. Thais senses the pressure, wonders why Patrick retreats, and begins to lose trust. The easy days vanish. Every chat about expenses turns into a cold war, accusations fly, and neither can admit they're scared for the future. Jealousy creeps in too, and not the fun, TV-made kind. Patrick's old habits and strict routines get in the way of intimacy, and Thais feels isolated. He keeps things close to his chest, especially when he feels out of control. Meanwhile, she misses her family, feels stuck between cultures, and scrolls through messages from Brazil late at night. Instead of pulling together, every new stress tears them further apart. The baby is born, and for a second, it looks like hope. But even little Aleesi can't patch up a ship that's already sprung leaks. That pressure to perform for the cameras never lets up. Every fight, every awkward dinner, every forced hug is preserved for the world. Each partner, instead of talking honestly, slips into old patterns. Patrick hides his anxiety under jokes and gym routines, tries to fix the mood instead of confronting his own fears. Thais grows quicker to snap, tired of feeling unheard, starts digging her heels in wherever she can. The little things, who cleans, who calls, who plans the next weekend, turn into showdowns. Meanwhile, phone footage leaks of another blow-up with John. Thais threatens to move out, John fires back, and Patrick stares at the ceiling as if the solution will just appear. He's the king of avoiders, always hoping the next day will bring a reset that never comes. But the biggest cracks are invisible until they explode. Like the family WhatsApp chat where Thais vents about Patrick, or the credit card bills Patrick shuffles out of sight, promising he'll catch up next month. Fans saw the smiles, but never the mounting stress that turned every little problem into a potential crisis. Then the old fight about Thais's dad bubbles up again when they visit Brazil. No forgiveness, no peace, just another reminder that their foundation was shaky from the start. Toss in a new baby, sleepless nights, thinning patience, and you have a couple who looks picture perfect, who everyone roots for, but the truth was always messier. Every friend who visited sensed the tension. Every family gathering ended with a door slamming somewhere off camera. Resentment grew until it was heavy and obvious, visible in the way Thais stopped reaching for Patrick's hand, in the way Patrick checked his phone to avoid her gaze. At some point, both knew that one more crisis would tip everything over. And the worst part? They kept filming through it, smiling when they had to, pretending their struggles were simple. But secrets, jealousy, money worries, and unresolved family drama don't disappear in post-production. They show up in every real moment life throws at you, growing louder each time someone refuses to say what they actually need. That's what brings a couple from paradise all the way to court. And somewhere behind the outrage and the headlines, you start to wonder if they ever stood a chance after all. The moment court documents leaked, social media exploded like a dropped match in a dry forest. It was instant, relentless, and everyone picked a side before the dust even settled in the courtroom. Team Patrick flooded the comments with high fives, calling the verdict justice, insisting the courts had finally given him a win after years of suffering in silence. His followers built him up as the devoted dad, the ultimate survivor, the man who put his child's future above everything, even if it meant losing the woman he once loved. There were threads praising his strength, his loyalty, and his patience for sticking it out in a marriage that seemed cursed from every angle. Every old selfie with Aleesi became ammo for his supporters, proof that he had always been the stable one, no matter what. But scroll down, and the backlash was just as fierce. People who once rooted for Thais didn't hold back either. They argued the system always punishes moms too quickly, especially those in the spotlight, who get dissected for every misstep. Clips from earlier seasons resurfaced, Thais crying quietly when Patrick ignored her in public, cryptic posts about homesickness, that look on her face when she found out she wasn't getting her own wedding. Her defenders posted side-by-sides of her holding Aleesi, saying you could see the genuine love and loss washing over her every time the camera lingered a little too long. They called the verdict harsh, unfair, possibly punitive because of one bad night taken way out of context. You'd think reality TV fans would get tired of fighting strangers on the internet, but this couple reignited tribal wars in comment sections everywhere. Every moment became fuel for both sides. One group claimed Patrick manipulated public sympathy, posting teary dad content in the run-up to the hearing, making his supporters feel like everything he did was for Aleesi's safety. They said Thais never stood a chance in the court of public opinion because her accent, her stubbornness, her refusal to play the grateful immigrant card all rubbed people the wrong way. Others fired back, arguing Thais had every right to demand privacy, to want something better for herself and her daughter, that even her worst moments didn't erase 4 years of being the only parent who stayed home, who cooked, who sacrificed. Every news story got a new spin. When word got out about Thais's arrest, misdemeanor battery on record, a 3-month sentence, a fine almost as much as rent, it sent shockwaves louder than the actual divorce announcement. Some blamed her outright. The evidence is what it is, they said. Nobody forced her hand. But others saw it differently, picking apart the timeline and all the tiny details. She was arrested less than 2 days after Patrick filed for divorce. Reports said it started as a heated argument, arguments they had been having for years, fights driven by heartbreak and stress and pure exhaustion. No one who followed Patrick and Thais could say they didn't see cracks, but a lot of people wondered if this is what finally snapped. Or was this one mistake the end of a long unraveling? Comments poured in by the hundreds, building conspiracy theories, dissecting each half-smile, every deleted post, all the body language from the last reunion special. Fans swapped receipts like trading cards, screen capping every late-night tweet, dragging up Instagram DMs that looked suspicious, trying to figure out whose version matched up. Some even accused the network of editing out the worst moments to protect the franchise any time it got too dark for prime time. And everywhere you looked, the big question was lurking: had either side ever been fully honest? When the news broke that Thais would lose custody for now, hearts cracked in every time zone. The outrage wasn't just about her jail time. It was about the idea that a mother could love her kid desperately and still have everything ripped away in one bad week. The pain in her face shook even her critics. Pockets of fans launched GoFundMes, prayer campaigns, and Justice for Thais threads, trying to lift her up from a distance. And yet, every third comment was someone saying maybe this was inevitable because you can't build a family on secrets and silences, no matter how good the wedding photos are. It's impossible to ignore how living your breakup in public multiplies every wound. Every time Thais tried to explain her side, people twisted her words, clipped her interviews down to highlight a single tear or a sigh of frustration. Every time Patrick posted a photo at the park, commenters praised his resilience, then turned on him minutes later when old stories resurfaced. Can anyone be forgiven when millions are watching your worst day on endless repeat, when even apologies get dissected in real time, when your heartbreak turns into clickbait overnight? Where you stand often depends on which moments you choose to believe. Patrick's defenders said he sacrificed everything, stayed calm in chaos, and held it together for Aleesi. They pointed to his patient demeanor, his effort to make the marriage work, how he always avoided saying anything bad about Thais in interviews, at least on camera. Others pointed out that his blank face could look cold, that his good guy act sometimes read as checked out, and that avoiding conflict isn't always the same as holding it together. Thais' supporters said she was trapped from day one, first by homesickness, then by Patrick's unwillingness to stand up for her when the family closed ranks. They described her as the only one willing to fight for what she needed, even if her demands came out sharp. Still, every time she pushed back, critics called her ungrateful or overdramatic, ignoring how hard it is to be the outsider in a new country with no one fully on your side. It's a coin toss. Either she's the villain who couldn't control herself, or the lone fighter who finally cracked after too much silence. Lost in the middle of all this chaos is Aleesi. Fans debated if the court got it right, if keeping the child with Patrick was the safest choice or the cruelest irony, separating her from the mom who'd done everything for her up to that point. The posts about Aleesi were the hardest to read, soaked in sympathy, in pure anxiety, sometimes blame. People said she'd grow up and see the episodes, the comments, the memes, and wonder why the adults around her didn't protect her better. The noise online drowned out almost everything else. Family members jumped in, some backing Patrick, some supporting Thais, and old acquaintances lined up to share their inside stories, turning private pain into public drama for a few seconds of viral fame. The feeds ran on speculation. Would Thais fight for custody once free, or would she return to Brazil to rebuild in peace? Was Patrick really the stable parent, or would solo fatherhood expose cracks nobody wanted to see? One week it seemed everyone had made up their mind. The next, new details broke with the power to change everything. There was no clear villain, no innocent bystander. Only two flawed people in an impossible situation, both crushed by the judgment of an audience that never forgives, never forgets, and always wants the next twist. Past episodes got combed for signs of what was coming, but for every true clue, there were wild guesses and imagination dressed up as fact. When Thais broke her silence, she didn't beg for sympathy. She asked for compassion, for space, for a little privacy to rebuild. Patrick, on the other hand, said little. He kept his statements neutral, on message, trying not to ignite any fresh drama for Aleesi's sake. Neither side got what they wanted, not peace, not understanding, certainly not a happy ending. In the end, everyone is left with questions that sting. Would things have turned out different if they hadn't signed up for reality TV? Could their marriage have survived off-camera, far from the court of public opinion? And most of all, is forgiveness even possible when your every mistake lives forever in HD, archived by strangers who never let you forget? The answer is tangled up in every episode, every tweet, every slow-motion shot of tears behind sunglasses. And right when it seems like the drama has burned out, another secret surfaces, leaving fans desperate to know. Did we get the real story? Or are we all still missing something? The weight of the verdict settles like fog over everything. The camera crews are gone. There are no makeup artists fixing tears now. No producers coaxing one more big scene. Patrick steps outside the courthouse, daughter in his arms, trying to look composed for the 5 photographers still lurking across the street. Thais is led away in cuffs, looking smaller than she's ever appeared before. Reality TV has always blurred the line between fame and humiliation, but this isn't the kind of exposure anyone imagined signing up for. Patrick's new life as a single parent starts in a blur of court documents and child-sized shoes tossed in corners. There are custody handoffs supervised by silent officials and quick, careful conversations with friends who offer awkward support. There are well-meaning texts and cold dinners, days where all he wants to do is turn the world off until the next morning. At Aleesi's preschool, some parents look at him with sympathy, others with suspicion. Everyone has an opinion, but only a handful ever say it out loud. The bills keep coming. The car seat rattles in the back, but there's no one riding shotgun to debate which Spotify playlist to play. At night, when Aleesi asks about her mother, Patrick hesitates before answering. He wants to protect her, to shield her from the ugly reality, But every story he tries out loud feels thin compared to the truth. He Googles how to talk to your child about jail and finds nothing reassuring. There is no script for this part of family life. For Thais, each morning in jail is a new humiliation. Every minute is isolation, regret, fear that this place will leave a mark she can't ever scrub off. The window is too small to see much of the city. Her world shrinks to cold concrete and echoing footsteps. Shame eats at her. Sometimes she blames herself, other times she blames Patrick, but mostly she feels the ache of missing her daughter so badly it hurts her bones. She keeps playing their last phone call over and over in her mind, searching for words she wishes she could take back. There are whispered late-night calls to her family in Brazil, promises that she's okay when she isn't, dreams about going home and starting over. In the outside world, people don't linger on grief. Life goes on. The neighbors talk less loudly when Patrick walks by, but their eyes follow him. Thais's friends send cards that never get responses. Social media has stopped caring about what actually happened. Everyone is already following a new scandal, trading gossip like baseball cards, forgetting that the pain behind last month's headline is still burning. Both Patrick and Thais keep their most honest feelings hidden, not for the cameras this time, but to survive the next week, then the next, stringing together something that passes for normal. The harshest reality belongs to the little girl at the center of it all. Aleesi is too young to grasp why her world is suddenly quieter. She draws pictures for her mother, asks where she went, and brings them home for Patrick to see. He tucks them away in a kitchen drawer alongside legal paperwork and old ultrasound photos. There's no comfort in platitudes. Saying Mom will be back soon is another half-truth stacked on a mountain of lies. Every well-wisher says kids are resilient, but nobody asks whether the adults are. Going through this level of scrutiny changes people. Patrick, so careful for years to say the right thing, now finds his patience stretched thin. He snaps sometimes over spilled milk or a toy left on the floor, then sits on the edge of the bathtub and cries when Aleesi is asleep, guilt mixing with relief that the fighting, at least for now, is over. He never wanted this. Never wanted to win by default. Some days, he admits to himself that he misses Thais, the way she made the house alive, chaotic, unpredictable. Other days, he's grateful for silence. Thais faces a different storm. Her private pain is judged by 1,000 strangers who know only as much as their screens let them see. She feels erased in a country that once felt like a promise, now reduced to a number in a file, an address she can't leave, a child she can't hold. Even after she's out, there will be rules, there will be tests, every visit with Aleesi wrapped in paperwork and polite, chilly supervision. There is no roadmap for building trust with a toddler when you need a court's permission to see her. The show might be over for Patrick and Thais, but its shadow lingers. Every failed marriage on TV turns into a lesson for those watching at home. Some fans post breakdowns pointing fingers, blaming culture clash, fame, or ambition. Others ask why nobody stepped in sooner, why private pain becomes public clickbait so easily. The most honest answers are never found in hashtags or comment sections. Whose story survives now, after the cameras leave? The court record is public, but the truth is more tangled. Patrick's supporters say he did what he had to. Thais's friends whisper there's more than what aired on TLC. Aleesi's future will fill in the blanks over time, maybe with resentment, maybe with gratitude, maybe something in between. Public opinion flips sides every day, rewriting old seasons to fit new theories. The same audience that crowned them a fairy tale duo now wonders if the show creates more disasters than love stories. Once the headlines fade, the real rebuilding begins. Both parents have to figure out who they are when nobody's watching, how to parent in the fallout, and how to let go of an audience that was never meant to judge their worst days. Sometimes the harshest part isn't the sentence or the custody order. It's realizing that the edit that played to millions is only half the truth. In this new emptiness, with families split across continents, and every milestone shadowed by regret, the question lingers and refuses to let go. When the show ends and reality returns, who gets to tell the real story? And who will still be around to listen? Once the judge's gavel falls and everyone scatters to different corners of their new lives, the hardest lessons take root where cameras never look. What happened between Patrick and Thais will get told and retold as a cautionary tale, but the truth isn't just about two people crumbling. It's about the dangers of mistaking public approval for real connection, about how quietly mistrust creeps in when love gets put on display, and about the cost of letting a million strangers weigh in on decisions meant for two. Trust is always the first casualty of public drama. You can see it in every couple that's ever crossed the 90-day line, overexposed and overanalyzed, always second-guessing whether their next move will be for their futures or for the comment section. With Patrick and Thais, trust eroded in whispers. In the way he flinched when she asked for reassurance, in the way she checked his expression whenever things got tense, in the choices they made for the storyline instead of for each other. Even off-camera, that pattern repeats for anyone watching: a little less honesty, a little more performance. How many couples imagine nobody's watching, only to discover their partner is an audience of one, grading every move. There's also a harder truth about privacy, the rarest commodity in a world addicted to sharing. Anyone tempted to sign up for their 15 minutes thinks they know the script, but keeping boundaries on reality TV is like building a fence in a hurricane. For a while, posting those perfect moments is harmless. Soon every phone call, every silent treatment, becomes a storyline for public debate. It's easy to forget that not all wounds heal under the harsh light of an audience. For Patrick and Thais, privacy collapsed the minute their arguments went from behind closed doors to open captions. Once the world weighs in, apologies get harder, and moving on starts to feel impossible. Is there a way to spot the warning signs before things tip over? Viewers watching at home might kid themselves into thinking they would never miss the red flags, but unhealthy patterns hide in plain sight. Look for a relationship where one person avoids conflict for too long, where secrets multiply out of convenience, and where conversations happen for the camera instead of the heart. If anger explodes after months of swallowing resentment, if outside family wields more power than the couple themselves, or if apologies start to feel like performances, those are signs that love is being held together by hope, not real trust. Couples therapy isn't magic, and this saga proved it. Reality TV wants a quick fix, a transformative moment. That's not real life. Real breakthroughs only come when both people are honest, vulnerable, and willing to put pride aside. The camera can't fix what already broke. When Patrick and Thais tried one last shot on The Last Resort, they hoped for clarity, maybe a save. But bringing old wounds to light and calling it progress only works if both people are ready to listen. Sometimes, therapy highlights just how much distance has grown. Sometimes, it's the last stop before goodbye. No one could have predicted exactly how far this fallout would reach. Now, with the dust settling, Patrick finds himself in a life he never wanted to build alone. For the first time, he's forced to answer questions about his own happiness, not just his daughter's. Solo parenting brings him a new identity, but also new insecurities: the gym, the hustle, the need for control. None of it stops the emptiness at bedtime. Rumors swirl about new beginnings. He's been seen out with old friends, even tagged in the wild by fans hoping for a splashy new romance. But nothing's official, and every step is watched in case another chapter is about to begin. The question hangs heavy: will Patrick reinvent himself, or stay fixated on protecting the pieces of a past that keeps slipping further away? Thais's future is even more uncertain. Some say she could rebuild, fight for custody, book a tell-all, maybe pivot into a role as a redemption story. There are whispers about new projects, old friends rallying for her, Instagram stories hinting at a fresh start. Maybe she heads back to Brazil, maybe she petitions for another chance at motherhood, maybe she ends up surprising everyone with her next move. Every true second chance demands forgiveness, not from strangers, but from herself. Whether she finds it depends less on public opinion and more on those invisible hours of struggle when nobody is watching. For anyone watching, this isn't only about tears and arguments. It leaves behind real lessons about wanting things for the wrong reasons, about staying silent rather than risking confrontation, about mistaking excitement for commitment. The biggest bombshell isn't court dates or custody, it's how easily anyone can lose themselves chasing an ideal sold in glossy promo shots. If this cautionary tale saves even one viewer from a painful mistake, maybe the pain was not for nothing. All of this begs a bigger, messier question. What does love look like after reality TV, after the fallout, after the spotlights turn cold? Is there ever such a thing as a true clean start, or do you always carry the shadows with you, waiting to trip you up next time? And in the world of 90-day drama, does anyone ever really move on, or do they end up forever circling back to the same old fights, told by new faces? As Patrick tries to find himself again, and Thais contemplates her comeback, the rest of the cast is already making headlines with wild confessions, secret breakups, unexpected alliances. Maybe the most surprising lesson here is that there's always another twist. The old chapter closes, but the franchise never sleeps. Just when you think things can't get more dramatic, a new feud starts brewing off-screen, and the cycle restarts. New couples, new regrets, new lessons for anyone gutsy enough to watch. If you thought this was the messiest it gets, hold on. Next up, old wounds explode into new scandals with one of the franchise's most controversial breakups yet. The fallout is bigger than anything these two faced, and everyone's picking sides before the first tear even lands. Stay locked in, because the next story is even more shocking.